Okay, so let's talk about some of the cars I've owned since I could drive. Now, I have some pictures of some of them, but of the other ones, I don't really have photos because I went from an iPhone to a Samsung and then back to an iPhone. So a lot of the pictures I haven't transferred or kept up with and deleted some of them. But I remember my first car was a Ford Contour, and I think it was a 1994 Ford Contour. Now, this was my car in college, right? And it was rough, but I liked it a lot, right? This was back in, I think, 2013. The paint, it had like a matte black paint on it, almost like if someone was to like use a spray can and spray like the entire car with it. That's kind of how the paint job was. But I really liked it because it was manual. It had all right gas mileage. It looked kind of weird, to be honest. Like, if you know what a Ford Contour looks like, I'm going to post a picture right here. It looks kind of weird, but at the same time, like, it's my first car. I'm driving a manual. I'm like, yo, I'm cool. I've tried to race a lot of people in that car. And it had a cold air intake as well. But that was my first car. Now, after that, I had a Honda Accord, which was a two-seater Honda Accord. I think that one was a 1998, if I remember correctly. That one was also manual. Back then, it was all JDM stuff, so you had to put an exhaust on it and hope that it doesn't sound like, a trumpet or a cannon exhaust. Aftermarket air take, but I went through this stage where I liked, like, the HID headlights that were blue, and just the way that looked, the blue light for your headlights. So I changed those as well, updated that, and I put a sound system in. So I had I think it was 210-inch speakers. That was my baby. It was still in college. And I thoroughly enjoyed that car. Now, after that, now I have pictures. So while I was finishing up my master's degree, I got this car right here. Now, this was a V8. This was one of my first V8 cars. It was an older Jaguar, but to be honest, you couldn't tell me anything, right? It was an old car. Keep in mind, this was probably back in 2019, 2018 when I had this car. It was an older car, but the V8, I liked it. I had so many plans with this thing. It had nice interior because, it's a Jaguar, so it's supposed to be luxury. And at that time, you couldn't tell me anything, man. I love this car. Okay, so after this car was my Hyundai Elantra. Now, I originally bought this car because I had a real estate business, and I said that, okay, by buying this car, because I needed a car, I could also use it as a tax write-off. So you can look on the door and you would see a little sign that I put there. We bought houses. We were real estate agents and real estate wholesalers. But overall, I like this car. It was fuel efficient, kinda. It had the V6 inside of it. And I ended up blowing the motor. Nah, we were so lucky because we had one of those like extended warranties, like Car Shield, where you pay them monthly, but anything that goes wrong with the car, once you keep up with maintenance, you can claim it and they will fix it. So thankfully, when the motor blew, that happened. We ended up selling this car to buy a Toyota Prius, and that's gonna be the next car. But we ended up selling this car, and then like years later, we found out that the person never registered it in their name, but it was involved in an accident and was at a scrapyard. So that's what happened with that. But I mean, it had the replacement motor that had like around 112K miles on it. And honestly, it ran good. You can see the rating that I gave this one right there. All right. After that, we got this Jeep right here. Now, listen, I've bought a lot of bad cars in my time. But I should have seen the writing on the wall when it came to this SUV. Now, it was super nice, had a sound system in the back. It looked kind of lowered, so I had the vision for it, right? Listen, I should have seen the writing on the wall. This car was problems. Now, it drove good, but I noticed I bought it from a guy in Washington. As I was driving back to Oregon, I noticed his light came on the dash. I was like, this is kind of weird. So I pull over. Keep in mind, we're on the freeway. I pull over to like one of those rest stop areas. And I see the light. I pull out my phone and go on, Google, and I type up, okay, what does this light mean? It was a transmission overheating light. So the seller didn't tell me anything about this having transmission problems. When I drove it, it didn't seem to have any transmission problems. Keep in mind, I'm someone that knows quite a bit about cars, okay? I went to a community college years ago, and for 1 year, I did their automotive program. I was brake certified, right? ASC brake certified. So I know a bit about cars. Throughout that year, we did so many maintenance things on cars, fixed cars when they came in. So I'm not a rookie. But I missed this on this Jeep. And this put a bad taste in my mouth for ever wanting to own a Jeep. So the whole time I had that vehicle, I would have to drive kind of slow. Now, keep in mind, it had all-wheel drive. So it was so weird. It would work good, especially when I maintained it. But just the transmission overheating, I think it needed a transmission overhaul because it had like the CVT transmissions. And if you guys ever drove a car with those, yeah, it almost reminds me of driving a snowmobile. When it's really just one gear and it doesn't really shift like, no, it's just, that's you accelerating. It's such a bad experience, but that was that car, right? Let's move on. So next we have this car. This was my trusty dusty Toyota Prius. Listen, if you've ever owned a Toyota Prius, you know what comes with that. It's like your life is changed. You understand now how you rarely see someone that's driving a Toyota Prius unhappy. The car isn't fun at all. It's not quick, really. But man, let me tell you, to be able to go to the gas pump and pay, $25 for a full tank? You don't have to use premium. It's like the most basic vehicle, but it does its job well. Man, I use this car for door dashing. I use this car for Uber Eats. When I had this car, it was during the pandemic, so I was able to make great money during that time. Back in that day, like, if you were out delivering food, you can make like $100 an hour. I've made $100 an hour driving, DoorDash inside Salem, Oregon, where I used to live. So I have history with this car right here. Also, this car saved my life. So long story short, I was driving on the freeway. I went to overtake this vehicle, and not sure if you guys know, but where I live in Oregon, we only have 2 lanes on the freeway, right? Two lanes going one way, and then you have the 2 lanes going the other way. But I went to overtake this semi. I was probably midway overtaking him, probably where his truck ends and the trailer hooks on. He didn't see me, and he started to merge over to overtake another semi. So I literally was ran off of the road because my only option was to go off of the road where it's a guardrail right there, or to let this truck run into me, this semi who doesn't even see me. So I was merged. I was pretty much pushed into the guardrail, so you can see the long scrape right there. It was bad, but it saved my life. And the insurance claim that we had, it was clutch money. Like, it was money that I needed during that time. So it all worked out. But I'd always have respect for this car and Priuses in general, man. This thing just ran and ran and ran. All right, so next we got my first Tesla. You couldn't tell me anything. This was my first time being in a vehicle where it had autopilot. The technology was wild. It literally felt like I was driving around my iPhone. When we went to charge, I could watch my Netflix shows. I got caught up with all my NBA highlights. Whenever I'd be charging, I'd be waiting there for 50 minutes. I'd just be watching television, honestly. It was such a technologically advanced vehicle for that time. This was a 2020, not 2000, what am I talking about? This was a 2018. And I got it, I'd say 4 years ago. I had it like 4 or 5 years ago. So I didn't get it in 2018. When I got it, it was 19, 21, 22, 23. I think I had that car like 2024. But not very long. But for the time that I had it, I loved it. Never any issues. I used this car to make a lot of money on the side. I did Uber, so driving people around. It was great, to be honest. It was in the long range, so which was annoying. If I would go back, I would just get a long range. But you know, the older they are, the battery degenerates on its own. So as time goes by, you get less and less estimated distance that you could travel, which is annoying because it's like, with a gas vehicle, you don't really have that. Like, yes, it's less efficient, but I don't know. I didn't get a good feeling. It's like my car is like depreciating times two, I guess. Like not only is the value lower, but you're telling me I could travel shorter distance over time. I didn't like that, so I got rid of it. But Tesla, I loved it. Loved the reactions that I got when I pulled up. And when I got it, people didn't have issues with Elon. Around the time before I sold it, people started to hate. They started to hate. So people started to hate on the Teslas, and yeah, that was an entire thing. But overall, I'd give this vehicle a 9, mostly because I saved so much money. I got the charger installed in my home, so literally it's like being able to fill up at the end of every day. The only downside is, one, not every mechanic can work on these, so you more than likely have to go to Tesla to get something fixed. And I had something annoying happen, like my window regulator went down. So literally my driver's side window will go down randomly. Thankfully, I had a garage at the time and it wasn't snowing or anything like that. But my warranty expired, so that was like a $500 fix just for a window regulator. So yeah, that was my downside, and the time it took to charge. If you're running behind and you literally have to charge your car, you will be annoyed because you will be late. So you have to plan ahead. You have to be punctual, and you have to make sure. Like, there's been times where I broke down once, actually, because I thought I could make it, and depending on how you drive, if you're going up like mountainous terrain, your estimated travel distance will decrease. So range anxiety is a real thing. But that's my Tesla. Let's move on. Next, we have my Toyota RAV4. Now, this was such a nice SUV. Listen, it had the best of both worlds. It was a hybrid, so I got great gas mileage for the size. All-wheel drive, so you could take it anywhere. It was spacious. This was the highest tier premium model, so it had the big moonroof. It had the leather seats. It had the nice steering wheel. The seats were very comfortable. It had like a camera. That entire thing was digitized. So I didn't have to have a special rear view camera. There was a camera in the back that ran all the time for my mirror, and I could turn it on and off, but literally it was crystal clear. This car was the GOAT. 9 out of 10. Not a lot of things went wrong with it. Really nothing at all. I would still have it today if I didn't decide to sell it for, reasons. But yeah, Toyota RAV4, it's a Toyota, so it will run. I rented this out. I drove Uber with it. The only issue I had was like one recall that it had, but I was able to take that in and get it fixed. So overall, great vehicle. Can't go wrong with a Toyota RAV4. And it was kind of quick too. Now, I call this vehicle my ex-love, the love of my life, right? So this car, I remember when I was looking for a vehicle, I didn't even go or plan to get this, right? I went to a dealership down in Salem, and I actually went to look at a, what was it? I went to look at a 4-door Maserati. I think it was a Ghibli or something like that. So I went down there. I saw that car, and it looked kind of, outdated. Looked like the suspension was kind of low. So I was like, it may not be a good idea to buy that. But I see this 2-door Mercedes-Benz SL550 with the AMG package, red seats, sitting there. I was like, my eyes locked on it. So I asked the guys like, hey, can I check? Can you just start that one up? Listen, he started it up. I heard a deep, it wasn't the AMG, but it had the AMG packet. So the exhaust sounded nice. Twin turbo, almost 500 horsepower. Like when you drive, you could hear those turbos just spooling. It got up and went. It was like a rocket ship, and it was a drop top. So when summertime came, I was riding around with my top down. Man, listen, this was my first experience in a Mercedes, and man, I'm so surprised I didn't get another one. If I didn't get this Jeep, I probably would have gotten a Mercedes, because SL550, oh man. My test drive that I had with this car, I was smiling the entire time. Literally from the start up. They was like, yeah, just go drive, just bring it back. I smiled the entire time. I have never had quite an experience driving a vehicle before I drove this like this. Like when you talk about like, you're just driving a car, but then you're experiencing a car. To experience that Mercedes at that time was like no other. I fell in love. I had to get it. I had a son as well. So when I decided to downsize, me being in a two-door drop-top vehicle, sports car, like it didn't add up. So, had to sell it eventually. But loved the car. Didn't love the repair costs on it. I had to change those Brembos, and I think the dealership quoted me like almost $4,000. I went to another shop, which is I think like Jiffy Lube, not not Jiffy Lube. I went to a tire center, and they quoted me I think almost 2,000. So I went that route, but not just for brakes, right? And it sucked because it wasn't the AMG, but it was the AMG package. So I was paying AMG prices for something that wasn't an AMG, bro. So that that kind of rubbed me the wrong way after, but that's my experience with that. My Mercedes. Loved it. And I think it was a I want to say 13 or 14 maybe, but love that thing. Now next, my Chevy Camaro. Loved it. It rode really good on the road, right? It had different modes like snow mode. It had really nice black tints. The color was beautiful. The wheels were perfect for me. The only grudge I had about this vehicle deep down is that it was the 4-cylinder turbo. Now, I'm one of those guys where I feel like if you're gonna go muscle car, it doesn't make sense to get the downgraded version because you aren't really fully experiencing that vehicle, right? So deep down, I knew I would never be completely happy with a turbo 4-cylinder. I always wanted the V8. So I upgraded it. I got a tune from ZZ Performance, cold air intake, downpipe. So I got to like almost 300 horsepower, I guess. So it got quick, but overall, I just wanted more. Also, I lent someone a car because they needed a car. They was involved in a hit and run, and yeah, didn't want to claim it on insurance. So this car got mashed in the front. That really just pissed me off. So had to sell it eventually. But that's the experience with that. Overall, will I get another one? Yes. If it's the V8, like if it's the like V8 performance version, man, like if it's the SS, oh yeah, for sure, I get another one, but not the 4-cylinder turbo one. I would say I did prefer the 4-cylinder turbo because I feel like I could do more with it as compared to the V6. But at the end of the day, it looks cool until you pull up next to a V8. Then you're just like, damn, I can't even keep up. All right, so this Subaru, I call this another trusty dusty. Like, it's not flashy. It was the model that it had a lot of the premium features, which is nice. But this, what you got from it. No issues at all. I did all the maintenance work. I changed the transmission fluid, oil filter. I actually bought it to rent out on Turo when I was exploring that business idea in that business, and it did well. Think it was a 4-cylinder. Got good gas mileage. All-wheel drive, so I took this like to the outbacks, like on back roads, climbing up mountains, and it did great. You know, it was higher, so I didn't have to worry about being so low to the ground. So overall, good experience with this. Will I get another one? Probably not, because it's just not my style of vehicle. I know in the Pacific Northwest, people love them, rightfully so. You know, it's Japanese or Chinese vehicle. I think it may be Japanese. I don't know. You guys can correct me below. But Japanese vehicle, it's cheap to maintain, cheap to replace stuff. Good gas mileage on it, has good technology. So, I mean, you know, it has a good moonroof as well. So, for what it is, it works for some people. But for me, I like nicer cars. So, all right. So next we have my Audi A7. This was supercharged. I like this car. I had so many plans for this vehicle. Like, this is the one, the A7, like the back wing. Once you go past a certain speed or put in sport mode, it actually raises up. So I like this car. It was a V6 supercharged. I always wanted a RS7. So this sort of gave me a taste into what owning that could feel like. But I had bad luck with this. So pretty much within my first 4 weeks of owning it, I was driving from Portland, fell asleep on the road late at night, hit a guardrail. So you could see the damage on the side. And it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth with the vehicle, because I had no one to blame but myself. I should have just gone to a hotel there or slept in my car, worst case scenario, but I decided to drive, fell asleep. So I'm thankfully that my life was saved. I'm still here, but yeah, every time I looked at this car, it kind of made me upset after that. So I eventually traded it for a BMW X6 that never ran. But the guy traded me 2 cars. I ended up trading the Ford away, which was the other car, and then the BMW X6. It never made it out of the mechanic shop. The guy said that yeah, the timing chains could be loose, and yeah, this is one of those vehicles where, have you ever seen the meme where it's like you buy a vehicle and then you look up the reviews and then they're like, yeah, you got the worst vehicle ever? That's how it was with this. I didn't look up the motor before because it was the 4.4, 4.8 V8 X6. So I was like, oh, BMW V8, nice. It had twin turbos. Man, let me tell you guys, they call this the hot V for a reason. Every review I've seen on this vehicle was terrible. They literally said this is the worst engine the BMW has made. And I was just like, fuck. Like, I just bought this car and it's not even starting. So that was my experience with that. It never made it out of the mechanic shop. I literally sold it at the mechanic shop, and the new owner towed it away. So I hope he had better luck, but I was like, yeah, this is a money pit. I need to get out of this. So that's my experience with that. But next, after the Audi, is my Jeep Gladiator. Now, this is probably the newest vehicle I've ever owned. When I got it from the dealership, it had around 400 miles. I think it would have been 2024, because I got it in 2025. Love this vehicle. I rented it on Turo. Sometimes it always got great reviews. People loved it. This truck, you can go anywhere. I went to dunes here in Oregon and Florence. Never had to worry about getting stuck at all. All-wheel drive. You had 4-wheel drive high, 4-wheel drive low. Great utility truck. The suspension was good because it had the Fox suspension all around. Like, guys, you felt like you had road presence. You were higher up off the ground. I absolutely liked this truck. The interior was nice. This sort of renewed my hope in Jeeps, because I didn't have really any issues with it because it was so new. So, yeah, great experience overall. Now, downside, when I was at the dunes trying to climb up the sand dune, literally my pedal would have to be to the floor. And I feel like with that, the motor was pushing out all it could push out, and I still was struggling. For a vehicle that size, I would have loved if it had, like, for instance, my SRT Jeep, if it had this motor inside there. I feel like when you have a truck like that and you have Fox shocks on it to where you're going to use it as like a play truck, you need power under there. So I would have wished it had like a V8 under it, or like a Hellcat motor or something like that. Something more than the V6 that they had. Because it was like, I had a V6, but I was getting V8 gas mileage. It's like, what's the point? I'd rather just have a V8 and get V8 gas mileage, you know? But I was able to experience like the Jeep community, the Jeep Gladiator and Wrangler community, you know, with the ducks and everything. And literally, it's true. Every time you see another Jeep that's similar, like Wrangler, Gladiator, we all say hi to each other. So everyone will just do that, you know. So it was cool being a part of that community. Now I'm in a Jeep Cherokee, and I don't even feel that. People usually don't do it. So it is more specifically for that community, but it is a really cool thing. And, you know, Jeep owners are pretty nice. They're more than likely very friendly, always open to talking about their Jeeps, just going outdoors, really. So loved it. And then last but not least, my current vehicle. Okay, so lastly, my Jeep, 2017 Jeep SRT. What's the positive I could say? Speed, power, space, size. All of those things are what I enjoy about this vehicle so far. Also comfort as well. This vehicle has quite a bit of features. For my kid, it has televisions in the back of each seat right there so that he could watch whatever he wants. It has a full sunroof going all the way back. Nice, I think that's Alcantara or whatever type of material up there. Very comfortable SRT seats. It has a Harman and Kardon speaker sound system with a sub in the back. It's great. Gas mileage, not the best, but at the same time, if you have a 6.4 liter V8, you already know what you're getting into. You know, it's like, just take my money. I'm just there for the smiles, man. Just take my money, please. But yeah, overall, I think it looks great. It's fast. The sound, I wish it sounded more like a 6.4 liter, but honestly, a upgrade exhaust would solve that. But overall, I don't think I would change anything. No real problems with it so far. So far, I've changed my oil filter, transfer case fluid, and it's been running pretty good. So that's all the vehicles. Not all of them. There's some others in between, but as far as the ones that I wish or that I think is worth noting, that's the vehicles that I've owned, and that's how I feel about them in my review of all of the vehicles I've owned. So this Jeep, I'd have to give it at least a 9.5 out of 10, to be honest. A 10 would probably be something like, this is perfect, like the perfect driving car. I would like to think that I haven't really experienced perfection yet when it comes to vehicles and driving. So thanks for watching, guys. Write down below, you know, feel free to comment what your most favorite car is that you've owned and your most least desirable car that you've owned. If you've owned one of these cars, tell me what you guys think about it and how your experience was owning it. But that's what I got. Until next time, please, guys, please like if you want to. If you like it, comment if you want to, subscribe if you want to. Stay up to date with the videos that I have coming, because I have a lot of different car content coming up. All right, thanks you guys. Until next time, this is Auto Abundance signing out. Peace.